So to get into one of the units that I was in the Australian Army, you've got to do a selection course, right? And it was for special operations. And selection is notorious for, food and sleep deprivation, big, big days, physical activity, horrendous mental tests. It's a huge test of your physical and mental capacity. You'll be pushed to your limits in all sorts of ways. And it lasts anywhere from, I think, 2 weeks to about 6 weeks. The one I did was 6 weeks. Officially, the selection part was like 2 weeks, but then we did 4 weeks of this other stuff after, and it was exactly the same, right? So it was 6 weeks of selection course. Like I said, long days, not a lot of sleep, horrendous physical activity, constant learning, under scrutiny the whole time. So it's always built up to be this big, scary thing, and it is. And then you've got a lot of things to think about when you're on the course because you don't have contact with the outside world, you don't have your phone, you're not going home at night, you're there the whole time. And your mind's playing tricks on you, your body's fatigued, so all that type of stuff. But there are two ways you can look at it, right? You're like, I've got this 6-week course to do, which is a long time to go through all this punishment, and then I've got 10 or 12 months worth of the reinforcement cycle after this, then I've got to go in the unit and spend time in there, deployments overseas, whatever, specialist courses, all the things you have to do. That's one way to look at it. And that's a lot of stuff to process, especially when you're at the beginning of that process on selection. The other way to look at it is living moment to moment. So when you're on that course, and there's all this other stuff laid out in front of you that's just as challenging and horrendous, and you're making these things up in your head about how hard it's going to be, and you're building it up. The best thing to do, in my experience, is break it down into really small chunks. And sometimes it's like, I'll get through today. Sometimes it's, I'll get through the next hour, if you're doing PT, for example. And sometimes it's the next time you have a break in this PT session, I'm going to have a sip of water and it's going to be really nice. And that's the way I looked at it as much as I could, right? But the more I looked at it like this one big beast that is then followed by these other big beasts of courses, the more stressful it was and the more worked up I would get. So I would break it down into these tiny little moments. Like I said, sips of water, rest in PT, finally getting into bed, the waiting around for an activity start so you can have a rest. And the same is true of your recovery, of your condition, whatever you're experiencing. Sometimes it's tempting to think about this big, bad thing that you've got to tackle, you've got to recover and get over and fix it, right? But I find a lot of the time it's just living moment to moment. It's looking forward to your morning coffee, right? It's looking forward to the drive home from work when you finally get a bit of silence or some time to yourself. It's listening to a podcast. It's doing some breathing before you go to sleep. It's going out for dinner with your partner one night of the week when the rest of the week has been shit. So try to use a selection course mindset by not looking at the big scary picture and all the things you've got to do in the future. Just break it down to the little things that you can enjoy during a day and just jump from one little nice thing to the next little nice thing.